marry me on this next episode of Fellowship of the Father. Hi, this is Lawrence, and this is Fellowship of the Father, and I wanted to go over the institution of marriage. What should you do? Should you do it or shouldn't you do it? If you're in it, do you stay in it or do you get out of it? Let's take a look at those questions. So I'm walking along here in this parking lot, and I'm enjoying the day, and I kind of trying to catch up on videos. I'm a little tired, so pardon me if I'm a little lethargic. I'm going to get out and about, and I'm actually being able to walk is pretty good for my blood. But anyway, I'm walking around doing laps, and thinking about the word marriage and what it means. So let's get into that. So you think about what happens when you get married. Traditionally, what would happen, a male would be quote unquote courting a female. Perhaps he would look at a neighbor or someone in town, and he would look at the female and say, that would make a great spouse, that would make a great wife. And I think we could build a life together. So let's go ahead and do that. So he'd approach the father. There's an interesting word. He'd approach the father, right? Anyway, so then he approached the father. And then the father would say, yes, that's good to go. So then he would get on one knee and he would say, will you marry me? Will you marry me? A little bizarre, that concept, but okay. I want you to comment if that rings a bell with you, if it resonates in a way that's a little peculiar to you. So then he says, will you marry me? And she says, well, of course I will. And it's a joyous occasion. Everyone's very emotional. And you begin this adventure together where traditionally what would happen, the man would go to work, the female would stay at home, the man would bring home the resources, he would make sure that everything was taken care of in the house as far as the outer part of the house. The woman would generally take care of the inner part of the house. Perhaps she would do a little gardening, which is on the outside. But in general, the man would be taking care of the outside of the house and bringing provisions in and providing security. Well, right now, that's not what's going on, is it? So we took a concept that was working fairly well. And instead of improving on that concept that was working very well, we said, once in a blue moon, someone really blows it. And so that's proof that nothing's working. So let's revamp the whole thing. And what we'll do is we'll have the female go to work too, which is fine. That's not a big issue in general. Here's the problem with that philosophy. There's a displacement that goes on. So, I don't know, since the early 1990s, I believe it was, till now, what we've been doing is we've been giving away everything. So we shipped our jobs overseas. We've made sure that we made sure that everyone's getting hired, whether or not they're competent. And we cut the workforce in half by adding women into the workforce. So that's a very kumbaya situation where everybody wins. But does everyone win? If the providers and the security makers lose, what does that do eventually down the road? So that's kind of why I believe that's why marriages are struggling so much, is that you took something that worked pretty darn well. And you made it something that doesn't work quite as well. Then you add time, and then you add additional circumstances, and now the system is broken and it starts falling apart. And then men have to make new distinctions. They have to find their way in the world. And that creates this situations where now men are villains because they are trying to survive with everyone else that's getting taken care of one way or another. So this is what I would say. If you decide you really want to get married, we're learning a lot lately about vetting. So it has nothing to do with whether or not a person is quality or not. It has to do with functionability and sustainability. So this is what I'd say. As a man of God, what you need to do, you need to get yourself established, pulled together, and you need to create a page. You need to create your story. You need to create your legacy. And as you create that legacy, you're going to increase your own value. So people will desire to be with you for the rest of their lives. And you're also going to attract a desirable situation for yourself where you're established, money's coming in, security is provided, you're taking care of your physical body, you're not making a big priority of, you're not over prioritizing your spouse, and you're achieving great things. That's going to create an attraction from your spouse that, frankly, in today's day and age, is very rare. The powers that be have been working overtime to create this neutral human being, this person that's neither male or female, or they hold male and female qualities equally 50-50 down the center. So if you think about what that might create, is it creates a little situation where there's no more polarity in marriage. Why does your psyche say it's time to get married? Why would anyone really want to get married to the other sex unless they're wired to do it and multiply upon the earth, right? That's what the whole purpose of marriage is. That's the whole purpose of spouses and couples, is that the concept is when the two to get together, it can create more human beings. Be fruitful and multiply, says the Lord, right? So that's what I would say. That's my advice to you. If you decide to get married, I would say be very careful. This is not a best landscape to get married. It's not that it can't be done, not that it can't be done right, but it's going to take your conscious, deliberate focus. It's going to take you being in the right spot so you don't show up in a way that you're attracting a spouse that will be a detriment instead of an asset. Anyway, hopefully that makes sense. I know I'm rambling a bit because I am a little tired, but anyway, this is Lawrence with Fellowship of the Father. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and we'll talk later. Bye-bye.